Through the generous contribution of Dr. Lewis's family, we're very fortunate to be able to share with you these timeless recordings of Dr. M. W. Lewis, a self-realized American yogi. Dr. Lewis was Paramahansa Yogananda's first American disciple and dearest personal friend. The wisdom Dr. Lewis imparts through these teachings will give you a dynamic and practical insight into the ancient science of yoga as taught by Paramahansa Yogananda. This lecture's title is Do We Have Free Will? And was delivered in Hollywood, California on June 26, 1955.
Subject this morning, do we have free will? Do we have free will? Yes and no. We have perhaps free will in the concrete, but in the abstract, no. So in some conditions we think we have free will, and really we have no free will. I remember an incident comes to my mind about a gentleman I used to visit in my younger days, and we used to discuss metaphysical things. I had met the Master, and I was quite enthused, having these eternal truths presented to me, and so I started on this gentleman, and I told him, I said, you are not what you think you are at all. You think you are this body and so forth. And you think you have free will and you haven't any free will at all. And I was talking along that line of thought, and suddenly he says, if I'm not myself, who in thunder am I? So he was a little more emphatic, but you had the idea. It was real serious. Well, I said, that's right, because we really do not know who or what we are. And so this subject of do we have free will is very important. Now, as we play our part in the drama of life, we do have free will. For instance, God gives us the free will and the free choice to accept Him or accept His gifts, does He not? Yes, we have free choice in that. But when God withdraws His great creation back into Himself, we don't have any free will. We have to go back in, whether we like it or not, unless we have exercised our true free will while in the drama of life and lifted our consciousness out of the delusion, the Maya. Then we don't have to go back. We're already with Him. So remember those 2 points. As we discuss this subject, do we have free will? In the concrete, yes. In the immediate, yes. If I want to go out this church, I can go out that door. Or I can go around and talk to you all and go out this way and finally go out the door. I have free will in the concrete. But it is thoroughly established that I'm going out the door. Just like we're going back to God. Consciously, if we can, if we're wise, we're going back anyway. Because we came out of God. Just like your own dream. You create your own dream out of your own consciousness, do you not? And when you break the dream, where are you? Back in your own consciousness. While in the dream you have free will to play a part, or if you don't like the part, replace it by another part. You have a little free will there. But when the dream is resolved, you're back with your own consciousness. So it is with God. When this drama of life is dissolved in His great omniscient consciousness, we all have to go back there because we are a part of Him. So there's certainly no free will in that aspect of it. But the free will given to us is that we accept Him or reject Him. In accepting Him, then we are lifted up out of the delusion of dream consciousness into the unity of God's presence. So that is the point to remember. We cannot say, yes, we have free will, but we can say yes and no. In one aspect, a sort of free will, as I'll try to point out. In the other aspect, God is the sole doer. He is in each and every one of you. Your ego has very little free will. The only free will that we have, and that's why we have been given free will, is that we get out of this delusion, this maya, as Lord Krishna said, every man walketh the world deluded. Get out of my maya, get out of my delusion. Now, if you use your free will in that aspect, that's wonderful. Because then you rise above duality of consciousness into the unity of God's omniscience. His one reality is God alone. God is the sole doer. If we use our will that way, then we are exercising free will. Now there are two kinds of free will. This is very important. There was one kind called ordinary free will. I've called it the do-as-I-please free will. You get up some morning and you start out and you say, today I'm going to do just as I want to. I'm going to do just as I please. But are you? That's the point. Are you? You walk down the street. The latent impulses within you come up and they begin to suggest this and that, and you react to your environment according to the dictates of those latent impulses within you and habits. And so you go by the bakery and you look in the window. Why? I'm going to do just as I want today. I'm going to have that big chocolate pie. And last night you had a bigger one. And you don't need that chocolate pie at all. But the impulse says, oh my. Isn't that wonderful? Habit says, you always eat those, eat it. All right, are you exercising free will? No. You're being guided by the environment, the latent impulses within you, and habit. That isn't free will. That's what is called automatic will, you see? Now, if you'd seen that cake and you'd walked right by, used the wisdom within you, soul guidance, you'd have said, well, I had that last night. That isn't right. So that's real free will, as I'll point out. But ordinary free will is automatic will. Now, the next time you go by that bakery window, remember this. Of course, don't all do it, because the man won't have any business. And we're not here to do that. We're here to help one another. So what can I say? I can just point out the facts. That if you do that, you're exercising ordinary, automatic free will.